Midnight, and I'm sitting on the edge of the bed with both feet flat against the cold hardwood floor because the burning had gotten bad enough that even that helped a little. I did that more nights than I'd like to admit. I'm Robert. I'm 83, and there was a stretch of years where burning feet ran my bedtime instead of the other way around. Do your feet ever feel like they're on fire right when you're trying to fall asleep? Worse than any other time of day? That timing isn't a coincidence, and understanding why took me longer than it should have. During the day, you're up, moving, and blood is circulating through your legs relatively actively. At night, lying still for hours, blood flow to your lower legs and feet slows down. And for nerves that are already under stress from years of elevated blood sugar, that slowdown seems to amplify the abnormal signals those damaged nerve fibers send out. Researchers who study diabetic neuropathy have documented this evening and nighttime worsening pattern as one of the most consistent features of the condition. It's not your imagination, and it's not random. I used to think burning feet at night meant things were getting worse overall. What I didn't understand was that it's often the same underlying damage, just more noticeable when everything else around you goes quiet and still. Your doctor almost certainly knows about this nighttime pattern. What he doesn't have is time, in an 8 or 10-minute visit built around your labs and your prescriptions, to hand you a specific nightly routine for managing it. That's not deception. That's the simple math of how little time modern medicine gives any one person. I still get up every morning and walk my usual 2 miles before most of my street is even stirring. No cane, no wall to steady myself against. At 83, I don't take that for granted for one single day. I want to tell you about Eileen Castellano. 82 years old, retired hospital aide out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, spent over 3 decades on her feet caring for other people, and then diabetic neuropathy turned her own feet against her in the evenings. She wrote that the burning got so bad some nights she'd sit in a chair until 2 in the morning rather than lie down and feel it more intensely. She was faithful with her medication, careful with her doctor's guidance, but nobody had ever handed her a specific before-bed routine to try alongside it. That's exactly the gap I want to close. If your feet burn at night, or go numb, or feel cold no matter how many socks you wear, please don't ignore it. I almost did, and I'm 80 years old. For years I told myself it was just age, the tingling, the heaviness in my legs climbing the stairs. But it wasn't age. It was my blood sugar quietly damaging the nerves and the circulation in my legs, and almost nobody warned me in time. If you let it keep going, those little signals turn into something you can't undo. I wasn't willing to lose my feet or my independence. So I started doing one thing every single day to help support healthy blood sugar and protect my legs. I'll show you exactly what in this video. And if you want the simple support I personally use, there's a free presentation linked in the description below. 3 habits, done in this order, about 30 minutes before you actually try to sleep. First, a warm foot soak, roughly 15 minutes, with half a cup of Epsom salt dissolved into comfortably warm water. Warm water causes a mild, well-documented dilation of the small vessels in your feet, encouraging blood to move back into tissue that's been sitting still all evening. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, and a 2007 study published in a peer-reviewed biochemistry journal found that a meaningful portion of people with type 2 diabetes, somewhere between a quarter and nearly 2/5 of those studied, run low on magnesium, a mineral tied to how your body manages insulin and glucose. Second, 15 minutes of leg elevation, feet up on a pillow or stool, higher than your heart if you can manage it comfortably. This uses simple gravity to assist venous return, helping blood that's pooled in your lower legs move back up toward your heart instead of sitting stagnant right where your nerves are most sensitive. Third, 2 minutes of slow ankle circles and gentle toe curls done right in bed before you close your eyes. This engages the calf muscle pump one last time before hours of stillness begin. A well-documented mechanism where muscle contraction squeezes the veins in your lower legs and keeps blood moving even as the rest of you settles down for the night. Soak, elevate, move your ankles. 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 2 minutes, barely half an hour, and every piece of it addresses a different part of the same nighttime slowdown. I want to be honest with you. These 3 habits are a nightly system, not a permanent fix on their own, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I implied otherwise. What ties the whole thing together, longer term, is what happens during the day, too, particularly what you eat in the hours before evening. I stopped eating my largest carbohydrate portion at dinner and moved more of it earlier in the day when my body handles glucose more efficiently. Research on daily glucose patterns has documented that insulin sensitivity tends to be better earlier in the day and gradually declines by evening in many people. Smaller evening carbohydrate loads mean less of a blood sugar spike right before the hours when your nerves are already most reactive. Soak, elevate, ankle circles at night. A lighter dinner earlier in the evening. Together, a system, not a single trick. Let me walk through what an actual evening looks like for me now, because I think the order matters as much as the individual pieces. Dinner's done by 6:30, with the bulk of my carbohydrates eaten earlier in the day rather than saved for that last meal. Around 9, I run the foot soak while I read or listen to the radio. 15 minutes, feet dried carefully afterward, checking between each toe. Then I sit in my recliner with my feet up on a stool for another 15 minutes, usually while watching the news. And right before I turn off the lamp, lying in bed, I do the ankle circles and toe curls, slow, unhurried, maybe 2 minutes. By the time I actually close my eyes, I've spent about half an hour on my feet and legs without leaving my chair or my bed for most of it. I want to be honest that the first week or two I didn't notice much difference at all, and I nearly gave up on the routine more than once. It was closer to 3 weeks before the burning started arriving later in the night instead of the moment I lay down, and closer to 6 weeks before whole nights would pass with barely any burning at all. I mention the timeline because I think a lot of people try something for 4 or 5 days, feel discouraged when nothing's changed, and quit right before it would have started working. Some nights now I fall asleep within 20 minutes of lying down, which used to feel impossible. I wake up and my feet don't feel like they belong to someone I have to fight with just to get through breakfast. Eileen told our group that after several weeks of building this exact routine into her nights, alongside her existing medication and her doctor's continued care, the burning that used to keep her upright until 2 in the morning started arriving less often and less intensely when it did. I share her experience as one woman's story, not a promise for every reader. Everyone's neuropathy carries a different history, and none of this replaces what your own doctor has you doing. I think about the seniors I know who dread bedtime the way I used to, and the ones who've quietly built a small routine that gives them some control back over those hours. The difference is rarely dramatic. It's 30 minutes, done consistently, instead of nothing at all. Eileen told me something that stuck with me about those 2 in the morning nights sitting upright in her chair. She said the exhaustion the next day wasn't just physical. It was the quiet dread every single evening of knowing what was probably coming again. That kind of dread has a way of shrinking a person's whole outlook, making tomorrow feel like something to get through rather than something to look forward to. Getting even a handful of uninterrupted nights back, she said, changed more than just her feet. It changed how she felt about going to bed at all, which is a small thing to say out loud, but not a small thing to actually live. Please don't stop or adjust any medication based on what I've shared here. Talk with your own doctor about your specific symptoms before changing anything. And if your burning feet come with sudden swelling, redness, warmth in one specific spot, or a wound that isn't healing, that's not a night routine matter. That needs your doctor's attention promptly, medication and routine aside. If burning feet have been running your bedtime the way mine used to, tell me in the comments what time it usually starts for you. 9 o'clock, midnight, closer to dawn, whatever it is for you. And if this kind of practical, honest breakdown is useful, subscribe. We go through routines like this, mechanism by mechanism, every week. If you made it this far, you already understand more about your own legs than most people your age ever will. That matters. You know now that the burning, the numbness, the cold feet, they trace back to one thing: blood sugar slowly working against your nerves and circulation. And you know the goal isn't a miracle. It's protecting your ability to stand, to walk, to stay independent. That's why, alongside everything I showed you today, I use a simple daily support to help keep my blood sugar in a healthy range, so my legs keep carrying me where I want to go. I put the free presentation in the description below. Go watch it. And as always, keep working with your doctor. This supports your routine. It doesn't replace it.